And now I want to thank you. I just in a few words, having in mind the late time, I want to say that I would like to thank you for those 3 days of great presentation, engaging discussions, making connections between us people, but it means also between the professions, institutions, even industries, I would say, having in mind today's date. And I hope this symposium was useful for you. It was definitely useful for me. I learned a lot about new possibilities, new tools, new directions, which can be and should be explored in our work, but also it was helpful for me to understanding different points of view and different emphasis in people's works and people's thinking about issues related with the mechanical, very broadly mechanical science in this field. So I really enjoyed discussion about complicated versus complex modeling problems, the need for data sharing and cross-examining the raw data, not cured data, for trying how different models can provide different results. I was enjoying looking at the possibilities of measuring mechanical properties of the materials in the different scales, also using dynamic schemes and master curves, so we can access properties of the materials in this dynamic, like in the viscoelastic properties. And the fact that during this discussion we dived into the philosophical depths of pondering whether the objects we are working with are real or not real is actually, I think showing that we are becoming a truly mature academic field. And yeah, some of you like smile a little when I say that, but I'm not meant to take a joke, because I really believe that the proper communication of our work is really crucial for success of the collaboration between the our field and the practitioners, and really about the impact of what we are doing in the reality. And there was a lot of discussion about how to increase this impact and how make our work meaningful in practice. So we are looking at these computer models, which are using experimentally measured mechanical properties, and they are validated by the amazing monitoring techniques. And I see that those models become very refined. And we are now able, with those models developed by some of colleagues in this room, look at the stress relaxation due to existing damage in the objects. We can look at the effects of gradient of the moisture in the massive wooden elements. And what is interesting for me is those concepts, assumption, results of those models. They don't seem to cause much of concern and controversy among us. And that's interesting, because I think this shows that, again, we are a much more mature field than we were 20 years ago. I think I was not involved in anything like cultural heritage 20 years ago, but I was 15 years ago. And I would like to assure you that from my memory, there was still discussion about how much we can talk about viscoelasticity of the materials, how much we can discuss whether relaxation means something or not. I don't see it right now in our field. I think we found the language to communicate with each other. But the fact that we found this way to communicate with each other does not necessarily mean that we are effective in communication with other fields and other people beyond. And this is like a challenge for us, and we discussed that quite a lot. And I believe that is making our work useful for practitioners and make it impactful. It's a really challenge for our field, and we have to think how make it possible. And yes, we need to reach to other industries, to academia with the huge resources of the knowledge, information, methods, technology, and make our work even more refined, more detailed, and address those problems of the materials we typically not work with, and approach new areas. That's all true, but also somehow we need to think about improving the communication with those who take cares about the art objects and collections, because in fact, we are not isolated field, we are part of this industry too. At least I see that like that we need to take some part, in some part, responsibility for what is happening in the museum institutions. And to do that, yes, we have to think about courses, workshops, maybe influencing the courses of the academic courses in the universities, but also to thinking about the tools which will be easy to use for those and meaningful and accurate, but easy to use for those who don't have the level of the knowledge about material science and so on and so forth. So this is a challenge I would like to look at also because I think this is a path going into two directions. So on the one side, we would like our research to find path, because we believe in our results, of course. So we would like to make them change the world. But on the other side, the true dialogue with practitioners means that we can have access to tremendous amount of information which can validate those models. If we only find the good way of communication, we will be able to find the information which is there, and we can try to access that. But I'm sure that careful conservators, they know a lot about the vulnerability of the objects, the history of the objects, their behavior, and so on, so on. We just need to work toward this communication more. And this is my last sentence. So, but you know, I think also that it's kind of unfair that I can make a last sentence and you cannot. So if anyone else would like to make a final sentence, you're welcome, but you don't have to again. So if there is any comment from the, you would like to immediately share something or tell something, I think we in such a community, we can do that safely. Okay, so thank you all.